There needs to be leaders that will attack the tough issues and innovate and solve problems to make our lives better, while we're on this planet.
So thank you, Shelly, so much for being on Winning Wednesday. It's always great to have a V-teamer on, and I just appreciate someone at your leadership level being a part of the show and taking note in what we're doing, in all aspects of the business. So it's great to have you here.
Yay, thank you for having me.
And I normally like to open these up with a personal professional check-in, which would give you the chance to share something the audience might not know about you.
I think most of you probably know I live in Denver, Colorado. And my son, Colton, just graduated from CU Boulder with a degree in finance. So I'm super happy about that. We actually did have a safe COVID celebration for him. So that's a wonderful personal highlight that I certainly take a lot of pride in.
Definitely. And what a great accomplishment to be able to celebrate. So I'm glad that you guys were able to do that. And as far as your professional experience, you've obviously been at Verizon, formerly MCI, for 32 years now at this point. So you've seen it all from a business standpoint. And I find it so impressive nowadays to see anyone have extensive longevity at one organization, because it's not as common, especially when companies, let's say, don't have pension plans anymore. There's less loyalty involved, and we do see a lot of people jumping ship. So what do you attribute your long-term success at Verizon to?
Certainly, I never would have expected my first professional job out of college to be one that I now hold for over 30 years. So it's one of those things where you're like, okay, I'll get a job, good technology company, cut my teeth on a few roles, and then consider what the future may have. But I got to tell you, I love what Verizon has come to stand for as a company. And I think more than anything, I think the leadership, the evolution of what the company is now. I go back, Katrina, to Bill McGowan, who founded MCI, and just the amazing energy he had in terms of creating a vision for breaking up the Bell monopoly companies and bringing competition, just back then to the long distance business. And then, from Bill McGowan to Burt Roberts, through all the different leaders we've had, certainly we've had struggles with the WorldCom acquisition and what that meant for employees. And then after Verizon purchased MCI, we had the amazing leadership of folks like Will McAdam, who really, broke through the wireless industry. Certainly now we've got Hans, who is our first global CEO, who comes to us from outside the US, completely different perspective. Right. And one thing I've certainly picked up on is really to find what you love in each person and make sure that you can incorporate what you've loved about what they've done so well. I mean, Verizon is what it is today because of the leaders that we've had in our business for many, many years. You can't be in one company if you don't just absolutely love what you do. I never want to have any regrets and feel like I've left it all out there in terms of serving our employees and customers every day.
Taking away leadership skills or just a point of view from former leaders, what are a few that you've really internalized for yourself that you would like to point out?
You can never go wrong when you focus on customers that deliver the revenue for our shareholders, right? I mean, their voice matters and the voice of our employees matter. And, it's interesting that the correlation of employees and customers nearly all point to the same actions and outcomes. Solving complex problems for our customers is so critical to how we think about the impact that we will have on society. I love that Hans has introduced that fourth stakeholder as a pivotal part of how we think about how important our business is. Our mission is solving global problems that need to be solved. There needs to be leaders that will attack the tough issues and innovate and solve problems to make our lives better, while we're on this planet.
Companies do need to be prioritizing their employees and their customers, shareholders, and society at large, because everything influences one another. So I think that's a wonderful call out. And in my experience of knowing you for the past 2 years, you've been such a vibrant leader and a strong advocate for our female employees at Verizon and just the leadership opportunities that are afforded to us, whether it's through WAVE, our employee resource group, or the WOW development program. So where does that passion come from? And I'm also curious the relevance to getting involved in extracurriculars like that, because I don't necessarily see my male counterparts having to do the same type of legwork.
I have a strong passion for encouraging people to make the most of their professional career, regardless of race and gender. It's interesting because as you get, older in your career, you recognize that your obligation is to carry the business forward and help the next leadership team be as successful as possible. Mm-hmm. And so I have a deep, conviction and passion for employee development and in assisting them with my own experiences to bring out the best in them. And right. So helping to bring women more empowerment and confidence to go after those opportunities. But it is our obligation to ensure that we have equal representation across key opportunities around the world, not just at Verizon. You can't apply for the job when the job is posted. You have to be working towards that next opportunity, months and years in advance. You are hands down the best person for the role when the role is actually finally posted, and that you've earned the right to compete and win way before the job is available. But it is our obligation to make sure that we're assisting one another and paying it forward.
The community of women, for instance, we don't see that enough always because we do have this kind of fixed mindset that there's not enough seats at the table. So I think if we shift that and we recognize that I can maintain my leadership role and still bring someone else up to my level and so on and so forth above me without having necessarily the competitive nature built into it, do you think that that would change business in the future?
You're never going to win alone. So when you think about, okay, well, unless I'm going to have a business of one, and that would be one person, that would be me, I need to recognize that I'm going to be dependent on others to be successful. And within Team Verizon, our obligation is to make everybody successful and have shared objectives. So I think we just need to be more conscious of inclusion and being purposeful in investing in the people that, really are desiring progression in their role and demonstrating the skills, right? It's almost midway through the year and I have another 6 months to get everything done that I want to get done for the year. Are you at the point where you've been able to accomplish what you set out to achieve this year, right? Are you halfway through? If it's June and I wanted to have, 3 big goals or 3 big accomplishments, where are you in those results? And being proactive in submitting those in your performance agreement or your development plan and not waiting for, your HR partners to tell you that this is due. And I'll tell you, those are subtle differences that make a huge difference, again, when someone is looking to bring on a new person onto the team. And you have the ability to say to them, look, I write my mid-years in May. I do my end of the year reviews in October and November. I've got my 3 big goals for the year. I know exactly what I'm going to go after this year, regardless of gender. Those are things that any top professional, right, would be wanting to make sure that they're doing to compete and get that next opportunity.
I think too often we're willing to go above and beyond and be very helpful and not necessarily get credit for it. So unless we're taking accountability of what we've been doing and be assertive enough to bake it into our performance plan so that we can point to it, we may miss out in the long run because we're just juggling so many things at once and only capturing a percentage of them. You did touch on your role being essentially a champion for our clients and for our employees, which I love that you've always wanted to stay close to the customer and serve our employees. From your high level role, how easy is it really to influence the front lines and the leadership all the way down? What does that look like for you?
I really pride myself in communication. And I think at times we forget the basic fundamentals that make a difference in leadership, whether it's personal check-ins with employees and customers, taking time to over-communicate, making sure that we're not missing an opportunity to make an impact on a person. Every business customer is a person first. So having a genuine interest in their well-being is really important to me. Changing it from less formal dialogue. We had a Forward You leadership call. We actually opened our call with one of our amazing coaches, Coach Kelly, who opened with, about 15 minutes of stretch exercises. I think that different times call for different communication methods, right? And not everything that we did in, 2019, 2020 is really going to work for 2021 and probably next year. Certainly passionate for me and important to me is that we don't lose sight of the personal connection. Again, people are people, businesses are people first.
And so my final question for you is, what is your favorite way to win Wednesday? And I saw your hat, so you got to tell me about it.
Okay, so we've decided, Team Shelly, that we're going to have a woohoo win-win Wednesday. So Jeff Deal gave me this hat because I'm known for my woohoo and wanting to bring some excitement and energy to our crazy lives that we live in. So I was thinking, okay, what would a win Wednesday be? I'm like, well, why is it only one win? Like, why can't we have a win-win? At the end of the day, I feel like you should be happy at home, and it helps you be happy at work. And it's hard to be successful at work, honestly, if you're not good at home. And so if that means that you've got to give yourself permission, take a break, to do something nice for yourself, each day, to eat a healthy meal, to have a stretch break, to walk to the mailbox, you know what? It's totally okay. I have found over the years that being happy at home is really important to me to being happy at work. So there's my win-win Wednesday.
I love that. And I feel like if we do exemplify those, we really will be winning. So thank you for sharing that.